Rachel here with Yarn at Play Crochet, here to do another in-depth yarn review for you today. I just wanted to say, if you find these yarn reviews helpful, please subscribe to my channel, give this video a like. Once we hit that 500 subscriber mark, I am going to be doing a yarn giveaway. You might be able to get some of this goodness in the mail delivered to your door. And that just goes a long way to really help support this channel and kind of get the word out there about what we are up to over here. If you haven't already checked it out, we do have a Facebook group for the channel now. It is the Yarn at Play Crochet Crew. So if you go to Facebook and search Yarn at Play Crochet Crew, you should be able to find the group. That's a great place where we can just connect a little bit more and where you can show your current pieces that you're working on and all that good stuff. I'll throw some stuff up there too, things that I wouldn't normally share around, so you can see a little bit what's going on in my day-to-day life as well, if that is of interest to you. So let's go ahead and get started with this review. Today I'm doing a review of Ice Yarn's Mona Lisa. And this is a really beautiful yarn. You can see all those pretty colors. And this is a 100% cotton yarn. So this, to me, has a lot going for it. But I will say that so many people thought that this yarn had a lot going for it that it is completely sold out at iceyarn.com. But if you really want to get your hands on this, you can still find it at yarnnut.com, which I will link that in the description box below, so you can see what colorways they still have available. I do believe that Yarn Nut only ships within the United States, though. So if you are international, my apologies. I don't think you're going to be able to get your hands on this. But if you are in the United States and you decide that you would like to get some, yarnnut.com is going to be the best place for you to buy this right now. Let's get into the review here, and let me tell you a little bit about this yarn. So I'm going to read you the stats on this yarn. As I said, it is a 100% cotton yarn. They classify it as a 3 light DK weight. You get a 1.76 ounce ball or a 50 gram ball. And you get 8 of those in a pack on Ice Yarn's website. Now at yarnnut.com, you buy them by the skein, not by the pack. So keep that in mind if you go shopping at Yarn-Nut. And the length here is going to be, you get 87 yards per skein or 80 meters per skein. And the recommended needle size they have is a 4. And I actually swatched this swatch up in a 5.5 millimeter hook just because that's what I had available. I would recommend a 5 millimeter hook. That is what I swatched up, the little granny square that I threw in the wash that you'll see in a little bit, and you'll kind of see how those stitches look different. But that is the basic stats on this yarn. Now obviously the color is really, really pretty. I really liked this yarn. If you saw my review of Cotton Pastel, this really reminds me a lot of Cotton Pastel, but without that, it's not chain spun, it is a ply yarn, and it doesn't have that thick to thin like the Cotton Pastel had. But this is just, the colors of it remind me a lot of Cotton Pastel. They're very soft, very beautiful, they color change together really nicely, and so you get just a really pretty swatch of fabric here when it is all worked up. I really love the look of this yarn, and the colors are really nice. It is a nice and soft cotton. This is not a scratchy cotton at all. It doesn't feel like a kitchen cotton. This is definitely a garment cotton. It is nice and soft and wearable, and I would not hesitate to make any kind of garment out of this that you could come up with. So let me show you first here how it pulls out, since I have my swatch all set here. And I'm pretty sure you're going to know how this is going to go. It's a 100% cotton yarn. It has no fuzz. I'm getting no snagging here at all. This is ripping out just fine. So as far as a frogging yarn goes, this frogs out great. Now I will go ahead and show you how it works up. And again, this is kind of, you know, if you've worked with 100% cotton yarns before, you probably know how this is going to go. It works up really nicely. There isn't any tension on my hook. There might be a bit of a tendency to be a little splitty because it is a cotton ply yarn, but that wasn't really something that I had a significant issue with. I didn't have a lot of splitting happening. It is gonna, you know, all ply yarns, and especially cotton ply yarns, you might come across that. But just as I'm working up in just some standard double crochet stitches, that is not an issue that I had to deal with at all while I was working this yarn up into a swatch. So that is kind of what it looks like working up. I really like this yarn. I think it's really, really nice. Let me show you what it looks like swatched up in a little amigurumi ball, because that is always fun to see. And this is what came out. Now this is actually a really great amigurumi yarn. This being a 100% cotton, which tends to be what people who do amigurumi prefer, is that 100% cotton, or at least a cotton blend. And this worked up just beautifully. Zero problems at all in here with my magic ring. It does this really beautiful color fade all the way around. And those stripes are nice and subtle and gives it kind of a really pretty color change effect. And then it goes right back up here into those pinks and purples. So that is the little amigurumi swatch that I made. I would definitely recommend this as an amigurumi yarn. I really, really liked this. This is something that I'm pretty sure that the solid equivalent to this yarn on Ice Yarn's website is going to be pure cotton, not pure cotton light, because that is a sport weight, but pure cotton. And so I'm actually planning on ordering some of that to give that a test in a solid color to see how that works up as an amigurumi option, because they do have amigurumi yarns on Ice Yarn's website, but they're all 2 or 3 weights. And when I'm doing amigurumi personally, I prefer a thicker 3 to a 4 weight. So this is, I would say, probably a thicker 3 to a 4 weight yarn. You can see exactly what the size is there. And yeah, I'd say it's still a 3, but it's on the thick end of a 3. I've seen yarns this weight before categorized as a 4, and I thought that they were real skinny 4s, but it's in that kind of range in between the two. So actually a really, 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 really nice weight, at least for me, for stitching up amigurumi projects. And it was really nice to work up. You get great stitch definition, and the color change on this is really pretty. So I was really, really pleased with this. Did I say really enough times? Really pleased with this. Okay, so let me show you what it looks like after I did my hot wash, hot dry test. I put all of my yarns and all my yarn reviews through a hot wash, hot dry, just as a way of doing like a yarn durability test to see what would happen, what if the worst were to happen, the worst case scenario for washing your garment. How would it survive? How would it hold up? I've had some real stinkers and some pretty big disasters, and I would say that this is one of the winners. This one handled really, really well. And I would expect that, it being a 100% cotton. Now, when you look at this, before you think, oh my goodness, it shrunk like crazy, remember, I worked this square up with a 5mm crochet hook, and I worked this one up with a 5.5. So there was maybe a smidge of shrinkage, but it was not significant. I didn't have a massively distorted swatch at the end of a hot wash, hot dry test. And you can see the color comparison, that it held its colors quite well. There might be a bit of fading out, but it's really not anything that I would say that's too dramatic. And I mean, you can maybe with the lighting, it's a little hard to tell. I will say that the colors here are a little bit bolder and a little bit brighter. And these did wash out a little bit, but this still looks beautiful, and it did not bleed on anything else in the wash. So even though it did have a little bit of fading to it, it did not bleed on anything else in the washing machine. And there were white towels and stuff in there. So if there was going to be bleeding that happened, I would have seen it. So even though it did fade slightly, it was not anything that, at least for me, being a person who wants to machine wash, who wants to machine dry, I personally would not be put off by that. Because I still think these colors are really, really beautiful, even if they're just a smidge softer. But if you want it to maintain that really beautiful, bright colors, I would definitely say wash on cold. Hand washing is always an option, but you can always put it in a garment bag and put it on a delicate cycle in your washing machine. I think that you'd be safe to do that. And I will say that even with the hot dry, I can see there is a tiny bit of wear and tear on this, but it's not significant. I only have one heat option on my dryer, and that is hot because I have an old dryer. But if you were to I would not hesitate to throw this in on a low temp dry at all. I think that that would be just fine to put this in on a low temp dry. If it were me, if I was making a whole garment out of this, I would still probably lay flat to dry just because I'm really picky about that little tiny bit of fuzz. But even that tiny bit of fuzz, like it's very small. But if I'm going to spend so many hours working something up, I personally am going to do everything that I can to make sure that it stays beautiful. And so I would lay flat to dry since I don't have another heat option on my dryer. So that is how it survived the hot wash, hot dry test. Now, how are we doing as far as cost here? What is the value for money? Now, as I said, this is sold out on Ice Yarn's website. You can't get it there right now. As of, what is it? The June 8 or 9? I don't know what date it is. As of today, on Ice Yarn's website of 2021, this is sold out. You can't get it. So if you were in the United States and you go to YarnNet's website, there is still some available there. I will put that link in the description so you can find it. But I will tell you the cost for both places just so you can understand kind of how they compare. So if this were available on Ice Yarn's website and I were to get a pack of 8 of them, that would set me back after shipping $19.94, which would break down to $2.49 a skein. If you were to get this on YarnNet's website, you need to purchase these individually. You don't buy them in packs. So if you didn't want to get a full 8, you could always buy smaller quantities if you chose. Excuse me. But if you were to put 8 in your cart and buy it as a standard pack size, like you would from Ice Yarn's website, just as a price comparison, on YarnNet's website, it'll run you $24 and a penny, which comes out to an even $3 per skein. And yeah, this is a really beautiful yarn. And then you just kind of have to decide if this is something that is a need to have for you. I really like this yarn a lot. I really do. It's beautiful. I really appreciate it for what it is. I really like it. I'm thankful that I have it and I got a chance to work it up. But if you ask me, am I going to buy this again? I'm probably not going to. And I'll tell you why. For me, having 80 meters per ball, or what is it in yardage? It is 87 yards per ball. As beautiful as this is, I know myself and I know the kind of crocheter that I am, and I'm probably not going to take the time to work this into something like a big garment where I would use this. I think that this would make a beautiful scarf, a beautiful summer scarf, and I might take the last few skeins of this that I have and work that up into that, and I think that it would be really nice. But that for me is kind of a one-off project with this yarn. There's enough other different cotton blends and pure cotton yarns out there that I can use for projects like that I would probably choose over this, simply for the only reason that the yardage on this is so small. So if I can get more yardage for a comparable price or even a little bit more, if it's easier for me to get my hands on, it's not such a scarcity. Even though these colors are beautiful, that's still probably where I'm going to spend my money. But that's not because there's anything lacking in this yarn. I really like this yarn, but I just know myself and my preferences as a crocheter. And even though cotton is one of my favorite fibers, there's so many cotton options out there. I'm probably not going to spend my energy trying to track this down again. But that being said, I'm really glad that I have it. I'm really glad that I tried it. And if this is something that is connecting with you and you are a big cotton fan like I am and those colors are just speaking your language, I definitely recommend trying to get your hands on some because I really don't think that you'll be disappointed. It's lovely and soft and the colors are just beautiful. So I hope that that was helpful for you guys. Like I said, if these yarn reviews have been helpful to you, help you to get a better understanding of what you like and what you don't like about yarns and how they hold up durability wise, please give this channel please subscribe to this channel, excuse me, and give this video a thumbs up. I've been having so much fun making this. If you have a yarn that you would like me to do an in-depth yarn review on, please put that in the comments below. I always try to take that into consideration when I'm putting in yarn orders. And as far as that goes, I think that's it. Don't forget that when we hit that 500 subscriber mark, we will be doing a yarn giveaway. All right. Thanks so much, you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.